Welcome to my presentation, all of you that have joined. My name is Elizabeth Mickiewicz and I am from Coventry University. So just to talk you through what I'm going to go through today, I'm going to give you a bit of background on our university and its internationalisation agenda. And then I want to give you a bit of background and introduction to the EUROLTA programme. Following that, I'll give you some specific information about how it works at Coventry University, the benefits that there are to the EUROLTA programme, and following that, I'll give you some information on how you can undertake the EUROLTA programme with us. And finally, I don't expect to talk for the full hour, so I will allow some opportunity at the end for some questions and answers. So if there's anything that does come to mind, if you want to just keep those to the end, and hopefully we'll have some time to go through those. So just to tell you a bit about the internationalisation agenda at Coventry University, and also give you a bit of background to Coventry itself. In case you don't know much about us, we are based, Coventry is in the centre of England, so it's just 10 minutes away from Birmingham, if you're familiar with that as a city, and just an hour from London. So we have been established for a while as a higher education institution, and then we have obviously our main campus in Coventry, but we also have other campuses. So we have one in London and also in Scarborough, which is just in the north of England as well. We also have some international campuses, as you can see there, in Istanbul, Brussels, China, and we have close to 40,000 students, with a large majority of those being in our UK campuses. So you can see we have a range of different faculties across engineering, science and health and life sciences. So we are a very well-established higher education institution. So just to talk about a little bit about our accolades, and I won't necessarily go through each and every one of those, but it was just to highlight that we are recognised independently by various different institutions for our teaching excellence, our student outcomes, and also our general overall student experience. So those are just some of the the different publications and institutions that have recognised us as a university. And clearly what really sets us apart in terms of our internationalisation agenda are various things. So for the last 3 years, we have actually been recognised by HESA, which is the Higher Education Statistics Agency, and they have, we have been recognised as being first in terms of the amount of overseas experiences that we have given to our students. So more of our students than any other UK university have had the opportunity to have international and overseas experiences and visiting a large number of countries amongst them. And one of the key things that we also do is that we give enhanced employability, and that's the key thing that we do, because we try to set ourselves aside from a lot of universities in terms of what we do as a department. And a lot of these statistics are linked to the work that we do in the Centre for Global Engagement, and this is the department that I work in, and this department, really the rationale for its existence, if you like, was that we recognised that many students are going to come out with a degree in marketing and businesses, or in health or life sciences, and that's great, but really there are going to be hundreds, thousands of other students that also have that qualification. So we want to think to our graduates what's going to make them stand out even more than that, even if they get a first or a distinction. So that's why we have, the different projects that we get involved in the Centre of Global Engagement. And it's also looking at data in terms of in terms, I thought someone said something there, in terms of the British Council and Higher Education Funding Council, highlighting that graduates that have more international experience are generally more employable, they obtain higher starting salaries and achieve better career progression. So there are various different projects that our students have become global graduates, as we like to call them, through different things that we work with. So as I say, studying and working abroad is a big thing that we get involved in the Centre for Global Engagement. So students can obviously go to different parts of the world to study or to work on a long-term project, for example, like with the Erasmus. But even students that can't commit to that length of time, they have the opportunity to maybe go for a week or two to have some international field trips or experience in different companies. And what's also important is that we recognise that some students, for various reasons, personal commitments, may not actually be able to go away and travel. So we want to make sure that they also have the benefit of, the ethos in terms of that internationalisation. So we have virtual cultural experiences. We also work a lot with partner institutions across the world, so that our students that are on our home site in Coventry or other UK sites can actually collaborate with partner institutions so they can learn about how they work and get an insight into the different cultural experiences, so that they don't have to actually leave the country necessarily to benefit from it. And similarly with our international students, when they come in, we have worked a lot with them as well, so that they can get an insight into the UK industry in terms of companies to visit, understanding application processes and in the UK and how that's different as well. So a couple of, a few different programs that I wanted to highlight that really sort of fit in with our agenda at the university is the Global Leaders Programme. And this, the idea behind this programme is really that the idea that people aren't just born leaders, and actually we can actually develop someone's skills to actually make them into a great leader. So there are various things that students can get involved in on this programme. So they can visit large multinational organisations. So that might be ones that are based in the UK, so they can go on different industry visits with them. But they can also to learn how they operate, but they can also go, and they do, go and visit locations across the world, across the different continents, to learn and to meet people from these different organisations and see how they operate across the different cultures. And this is really important because in the workshops, because they also get involved in workshops, one of the things and the type of theory that they look at is cross-cultural theory, and how leadership and management styles, for example, are different across cultures, levels of hierarchy and so on, and etiquette when you do certain business arrangements. So it's really important that they get first-hand experience of talking and interacting with these individuals so they can really put the theory into practice. So just an example there on the screen of some high profile specialists that have engaged with us on this Global Leaders Programme. So see their Facebook, Google and so on. And it's been great for the students to really interact with those organisations and see, and have inspiration from them on how they've managed to achieve what they have achieved. And it's also been a great opportunity for them to network as well, and some of our students have actually had some good outcomes from being able to network and get connections from those individuals. So there are just an example of some. It's by no means an exhaustive list of some of the practical workshops that students can get involved in on the Global Leaders Programme. So just to talk about summer schools, and I should say obviously short courses, because this is something that is not just limited to the summer months. So obviously people can come and visit the Coventry University and get involved in a range of different courses. They might do that as an individual, or they might do that as as a group. So it gives them the opportunity really to develop their cultural skills. So yes, they will, by the nature of them being in the UK, they will have an opportunity to experience British culture, but because we attract very much an international community, they also liaise with and meet people from across the world. And of course, while they're in the UK and they're having delivery from our academics on site, they obviously get a chance to experience different ways of teaching and learning, and it's just overall a great experience for them to enhance their CV and their potential. And even if they aren't doing an English language course, the nature of them being in that environment, of course, they can enhance their English language skills. And one thing that we do is we work a lot with partners, so that we can actually utilise partners' institutions. So, for example, we work with PACE at the moment in Greece, and I'll talk a little bit more about them later, but it gives us the opportunity. So if we want to bring any of the courses that we do in the UK to a partner institution, we can do that and bring students, and also welcome local students to those programs as well. And that has happened across different countries across the world, and has been really, really successful and had great feedback from the students. So these are just some example modules that we run in the summer school. Obviously, global leadership, learning about British history and culture, entrepreneurship, and then I will talk about the EUROLTA program, because that's something also that people can do as a summer school program. So in terms of the sort of small team that I work in, or the sub-team that I work with Lingua Mundi. So it's a global languages program, and if anyone is familiar with Latin, they will know that Lingua Mundi means languages of the world. And we are really proud of our program, I would say, because we offer over 30 different languages. I think at last count, we have offered 35 different languages. So comparing it to a lot of UK language schools, and indeed UK universities, we are right up there. If we're not like the largest offer that's in the UK, we are certainly up there. There aren't many that we've come across that have that number. And I can talk about how we're able to do that through the EUROLTA program. But yes, obviously our learners, our staff, our business community, and general wider community have the opportunity to learn about language and culture through different native speakers. They also obviously had the chance to learn about or undertake accredited language exams with some of those languages. And then obviously the tutor training program, which is what I now want to tell you about. So before I give you a background on your role, so I need to tell you a little bit about the ICC. So you might not be familiar with it. It's nothing to do with cricket, if there are any cricket fans listening, but it is the International Certificate Conference. And as it says there, it's a non-profit organisation, and they really aim to promote and improve the learning and teaching of languages. And why I mention the ICC is because they have the responsibility for the EUROLTA training program.
I'm attending Elizabeth right now, so probably they haven't sent you the new links this morning. So I'm going to email them to you. Yes, yeah, I'm just sending it as well. Okay?
Someone needs to mute.
Okay, later, bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the EUROLTA tutor training program, it's an initial teacher training qualification, and it's the European Certificate in Language Teaching to Adults. So EUROLTA was basically started, it was part of an EU funded project, so from the mid to late 90s. And as you can see there, sort of 5 to 10 years later, it went through some major revisions. So it was part of a project, and you can see on the screen here, there are a range of different project partners from different countries around Europe. And the EUROLTA programme was developed, and then following its completion, the ICC then took on responsibility for continuing the EUROLTA programme. Until this day, they are still the institution that does that. So to show you how it works at Coventry University, so obviously we have a process where people are able to apply to come onto the EUROLTA programme. And what's key, as I say, it's an initial teaching, language teaching qualification. So prior experience is not required at all. So people with very little or no experience can undertake the programme. So we offer it so people can either do it full-time, and I'll give you a breakdown of how that will work. So they can do like an intensive programme where they're in every day, or they can do it part-time. So typically we would run it 2 hours a week, twice a week, over a number of different weeks, and in that they get the opportunity to learn the language teaching methodology and general teaching principles of teaching a language. Obviously, within any teaching programs, it's essential that they also have observations in their teaching. So what's great as well is that our trainees can have a chance to do micro teaching and practice on each other, as well as teaching each other, because we have a range of different languages. So in one classroom, there is not just one language. So you might have someone who's teaching Greek, but they can actually teach their language to lots of other people in the group, or other people in the group that don't speak their language. So it's still an authentic experience for them. And then they have the opportunity to work with language mentors to support them in terms of their teaching practice. And of course, they are assessed through different assignments. So here's an example of the different theory that they that include. So really, again, not an exhaustive list, but it gives them the opportunity to have the key theories and principles they need to become language teachers initially, and before they actually can start doing some practical elements. Then obviously through that, a lot of our trainees have gone on to be our tutors. And this is, in terms of who applies for the programme, we actually have our students, so they can be undergraduates or postgraduates. And within that, they then actually get a chance to actually teach, whilst also part-time, of course, maybe only 1 or 2 lessons a week, but have that opportunity to have that professional development, and then have observations and feedback so they can develop as a professional in this field. So in terms of the benefits of the EUROLTA programme, what's the sort of like key unique selling point for EUROLTA is that it does cater for a diverse range of trainees. So as I briefly mentioned, it's open to anyone of any language background. So it's which is great, because I say it talks about the general principles of teaching languages. That's very advantageous as well for people who are bi or multilingual. So if someone speaks Spanish and Portuguese and French, once they've actually learned the principles of being a language teacher, that, you know, they don't have to sort of like retrain to then do French and then also Spanish and Portuguese. They can actually use that certificate to then teach, you know, all of those. And indeed, we do have teachers that, because their background, maybe dual heritage, for example, that they do actually teach more than one language for us once they've undertaken the EUROLTA programme. So, yeah, because of that, it can be delivered in the different languages, to obviously different languages. Our mode of delivery is English. So, but yeah, it is so flexible in terms of its approach. And what's great is that it's not Anglo-centric. So, you know, non-Latin languages are included in that. So in terms of the types of languages we've had, we have, yes, the range of the different European languages, but also Tagalog from the Philippines. We have Swahili, obviously an African language, Korean, Mandarin, Arabic, so Malay, Hindi. We have so many different languages across the world, and the individuals that have undertaken the EUROLTA programme have been able to go on and teach their language and incorporate culture. So it's really positive in that sense. So in terms of the level of English that is required to access the course, generally, I wouldn't say you have to be C1 or C2 proficient. It's I think if you're B2, upper intermediate level of English, that's a good level for you to be able to follow the sessions, and also to be able to do reading, to do the assignments. I've put like a B1, B2 there because I know strong B1s have actually been able to do the course successfully and achieve their assignment, because the work as well, apart from the assignments and the sessions, they are teaching in the target language. So yeah, it still works. So at that sort of like high intermediate level, really is good to access the course. So in terms of the accreditation standards, we, you know, there are 100 hours of input in the programme, and in terms of the observed teaching practice, and we will do 6 hours of teaching as well. And what's also important to highlight at this stage is that it is, you know, the EUROLTA programme, it's not something that has been developed by the Coventry University, as I mentioned. So as well as it it's externally accredited, it's also verified by the ICC. So every time we do assignments, a sample is verified by our external examiner or verifier, and we await for feedback before we can get confirmation of being able to you know, release or award those certificates to the trainees or the participants on the course. It also has a range of cross-linguistic benefits in the classroom, we found. So I'll just take some water. So what we found is because learners have the exposure to so many different nationalities in the classroom, they get real exposure to see the challenges, because some may have only been in countries where they've had people that you know, speak the same language as them, or maybe just European languages, or just languages based in South Asia, for example, and to really see someone who has a language so different to them and actually see the challenges that they have, it really develops their empathetic skills and makes them think about how they, you know, can cater for those types of learners. So by peer observing and seeing how their fellow trainees get on when they're doing their micro teaching, it's a real eye-opener, and it really makes them adapt their practice. So yes, you know, as I mentioned, it gives them that real appreciation for the diverse language backgrounds and what, you know, specific strategies you have to employ to cater for people of such a varied background. So it's also great because you know, we are able to recruit native speakers, so they are able, when they're sharing their language, to share their culture alongside that, and that's you know, really great and motivating for the learners in the classroom. And you'll see when I speak about the assignments that that's also something that's included in the assessment as well. It is, and I will, at the end of this presentation, we'll talk about our costs, but it is, I think, you'll find very flexible and affordable, especially when you can maybe compare it to some of the other products that are out on the market. So in terms of our institution and the benefits that we have found, obviously, you know, the key thing for us is that we have been able to grow from a program that's had a small number of languages to that has, you know, like I say, had up to like 35 different languages on offer, which is just really amazing. And it's great that we can recruit people from all over the world, and we are not relying on them having previous training, or, you know, what you will obviously find when you recruit people from such a diverse area and backgrounds, that their teaching approach can really differ, and so it's really great to have that standardized approach where people are using communicative methodology. Individuals are able to practice the language skills that they've learned authentically with each other, and we can better ensure that by putting them through a more standard teaching program like the EUROLTA. And it's obviously been great for the developing, you know, as a university, in terms of developing our calibre of graduates, because, as I say, our undergraduates can apply and do, and often do, as well as our postgraduates. And, you know, they might apply in their first year, and so, you know, after that they've had at least a good 2 years or so, or more sometimes, of actually teaching. And although any work experience is valuable for you know, a student, this is some real professional experience that they really feel that they and they do sell themselves in an application and an interview, to be able to say that they have, you know, in terms of their presentation skills, being able to communicate in a formal situation from people of different cultural and language backgrounds, and it really enhances their interpersonal skills, and, you know, the confidence that they ooze when you see them from a trainee to when they do that, and that really helps them, you know, when they go on to then look for employment. And we have students from across all the different disciplines, you know, the sciences, the business, marketing, and even if they are not going into language or you know, language linguistics or teaching in the future, it just, you know, gives them so much valuable experience moving onwards, and helps them to achieve good outcomes. It also, you know, promotes us as an institution, because of the different things that we have on offer and all the different experiences, like I spoke about in the early part of my presentation, makes us an attractive institution for prospective students. And of course, you know, in terms of our wider internationalisation agenda, it really supports that, because people learn languages, and we support them to then gives them an interest to then want to go and travel, to learn even more about the language and culture that they've looked at. People that are going on overseas experiences, short or long term, you know, we're able to support them, and that's across the different faculties. We work with them if they are going on faculty field trips. They are able to do that, and really just a general encouragement of mutual respect for different languages and cultures. So yeah, we found that, you know, through teaching and learning languages, which EUROLTA has given us, it's supported us a lot in those ways. So to talk about the assessment, So we, the first assignment that the students will do will be on language awareness. And although the EUROLTA programme, as I say, is for any language, it is important, and we make sure that with every aspect that we do, that learners or so trainees, you know, consider their particular language background. So if we're looking at you know, speaking or grammar, they have to then think, okay, so how applicable is this to my language, and how would I have to adapt it? What additional considerations might I need to have when teaching my language? And you know, and it's important that they do that. And that's why also it's helpful that we have language mentors that they can work with on those issues. But really in this assignment, they get an opportunity to see what specific issues learners might have from a specific language background, and how they can support them. And that's why it's, as I say, it's really great with those cross-linguistic benefits, that they can actually see those firsthand as well in the classroom when they're learning and teaching each other and doing the tasks together. What sort of things people are not aware of their language that maybe we just take for granted as, you know, things we take for granted as native speakers. So yes, and they also do peer observations. So obviously they go out and they're able to experience observe more experienced tutors that we have running our language courses. And as I mentioned, you know, they are actually act as mentors as well, which is great, because they can give them specific guidance and strategies on that. And then also through their peers, and I think you can learn just as much sometimes from a very experienced tutor as you can from an inexperienced tutor, because you can learn what to do and what not to do, you know, on both sides. So they gain a lot of insight from that, and in their assignment they have to talk about you know, what they've learned and what they would change in their practice and how it would help them going forward. I mentioned about language and culture, so it's important that they do lesson planning within this assignment, and they you know, talk about how they plan a lesson and how they incorporate not just developing the language skills, but also you know, providing cultural insight as well as they are doing that. Teaching practice sessions, obviously key, so they get an opportunity to teach once they're, you know, quite further down on the course, and then they have some set criteria that we look at that they need to achieve whilst they are doing that. And then at the end of their teaching journey and their teaching practice, quite naturally with a lot of these courses, they then have to reflect on the teaching journey about how well they've progressed and what they've learned, and you know, how, you know, what they're going to do to continue their to enhance their practice in the future. So in terms of undertaking the EUROLTA, we've obviously, you know, we run the course on site at the campus, and we know that at the moment, due to the unfortunate situation, our campus is closed. And so during lockdown, we actually had a program, the EUROLTA program run, and we actually did it online. So we had, and I've put an example there of some of the languages that we had included, so you can see, yes, we have different European languages, Bulgarian, Greek, Italian, Portuguese, but also languages from further afield, so Arabic, Urdu, Thai. So yes, we had a range of different trainees that attended this. And what I want you to do really is just, I've got a short video, and I want you to just have a listen to what some of the trainees thought about their experience. So I'm just going to stop sharing my PowerPoint, and I'm going to share the video. And hopefully this works.
Konnichiwa. My name is Mirai. I'm a first-year student of Coventry University. I'm from Japan. I study sociology.
Ahoy. My name is Jana. I'm from the Czech Republic and I study English at Coventry University.
Здравейте, аз съм Виолета.
Olá a todos. My name is Karina. I'm Portuguese and I'm currently taking the Lingua Mundi Tutor training program.
Γεια σας. My name is Adonia. I'm Greek and I'm a EUROLTA tutor trainee with Lingua Mundi.
I found the tutor training program really interesting because I met a lot of new people. It surprised me how many friends I found through the course because everyone that attended this course, including the tutors, is really friendly and very helpful.
And it's very rich and intense, and in the end it's so rewarding that makes us feel so happy.
So you might think that just because this is an online course, it might get boring and not interesting, but that could not be further from the truth because this course includes different kinds of activities that will keep you occupied and keep it fun and fresh.
Positive surprise by all the online training program. The facilitators used with the best possible way a great tool in combination with a well-prepared training program full of interactive activities. They achieved with this new delivery to create a pleasant environment which engaged everyone and also gave space to each individual to develop their skills potential, which is very important.
The program allows us regarding splitting rooms, about writing in a whiteboard. It's just like it seems a simulation of a real class, and we can speak to each other. We can do the same tasks as we would do in a real class, just with the difference that we are online. So it's a very good way of learning and to overcome this whole situation.
Online teaching taught us that we are not limited by locations or borders, even under this unusual situation. We are not able to meet physically right now, but that does not mean that we can't get connected. Indeed, throughout this online teaching, I got new friends, new experiences, and these broad-minded communities of Lingua Mundi.
If you like language teaching, multicultural environments, and a place that you could share your culture's authenticity, this program is definitely for you. EUROLTA tutor training program with Lingua Mundi provide you with the skills and knowledge you need to become a competent language teacher, and at the same time, all this by sharing your culture's uniqueness.
I would recommend it to other people because it's fun. You get to meet a lot of cool people that will help you with your career as a tutor.
I definitely recommend this program to everyone who has a desire to teach language and also who has interest in exchanging and understanding culture. Joining this community, I realized how amazing it is to be able to communicate with others from various backgrounds. Lingua Mundi training program will definitely bring you to the new world and let you explore new culture experiences.
Okay, so I will just go back to sharing my, oh, what happened there? Try again. Go back to sharing my PowerPoint. Get it on the right screen first. Okay, try again. Okay, so here we were. So those trainees, obviously, they participated on the online program, and what I should highlight is that it wasn't just like an online learning module. Yes, they do have tasks that they have to go away independently, and they have to do some reading and their own studies and their assignments, but essentially it was an interactive program online where they had face-to-face interaction with the facilitators and the trainers and each other, able to do pair, group work and so on, as well as working as a class. So in terms of, and then what they will do, these students, is when we're back on campus, they will then have the opportunity to do their face-to-face teaching practice, because obviously that's really key, that they still have actual physical classroom experience. So just to talk about the options that of you know, how we're working with our partner in Greece, is that we are proposing that trainees can do the interactive online session, like you heard our trainees there talk about, but then they have the opportunity to do face-to-face teaching practice in Greece. So the online course would be 2 weeks in an intensive program, you know, based with, you know, our staff in the UK, and then they get some 6 observations observed by PACE, who I will talk about just on my final slide in a moment. Then the second option would be to do an interactive online course, but you know, when we're able to travel again, and hopefully that will be sometime soon, you know, have the opportunity to maybe come to the UK to complete their teaching practice. And then the third option would be to just do a full intensive course in the UK, and that would be for 3 weeks. And when the world is in a more normal situation again, we run that course at different points throughout the year, not just in the summer, and then the opportunity to do that. So, and obviously it's key that they, you know, as I say, they get a chance to have that observed teaching practice, and also it's, you know, that it's something that you can use anywhere in Europe, because we can talk about the actual input that you've had in terms of the hours and the observed teaching practice, for people to recognise that it's you know, a quality training programme. So there's the outline, so you can see the difference in the prices, and as you can see, very reasonable, I'd say competitive for the market, and those are the sort of introductory prices for the academic year coming up, and obviously any elements that are in the UK, that also includes accommodation, but not any other travel flight expenses. So if you are interested in finding out more, there's some contact details here. Paraskevi, she's the lady to contact if you want to find out any more about what we do. And she is a good font of knowledge, because Paraskevi actually spent a number of years living in Coventry, and she actually came to the university as a language learner to learn some Spanish. And while she was there, she learned about our tutor training program, and she then subsequently did the EUROLTA scheme, and then became one of our Greek tutors and taught Greek for 3 years. Alongside doing that, she also worked in the department, you know, at the Centre for Global Engagement, on some of our other global programmes, on our leadership development and our short courses. So she, you know, she'll be able to tell you a lot more about Coventry University, and, you know, how are they going to be working with us. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share there, and as promised, I will allow time for questions. I don't know if, okay, I'm just looking in the chat to see if there's any questions. Okay, nothing in the chat, but is there, let's have a look at Q&A. Oh, could you please put the price list on again, someone has said. Yes, I can, so let me put that back up. Right, so I'll put that there. And I'll leave it there for a minute because I don't know if anyone's got any questions, if they want to unmute themselves. Silence. Oh, another Q&A. Someone's just thanking me for their price list. Okay. I shall stop sharing. Are there any other questions at all? I should say that amongst us is Veronica Omini, who is actually the co-director of the Centre for Global Engagement. And Veronica, if you're there, I don't know if there was anything, blindingly obvious that I missed out, or anything that you want to add. Well, we have people here to talk about the work that we do at Coventry or the Centre for Global Engagement. I'm not sure if she's there. Veronica, I can see you on the list, but I'm not sure if she's there. Right, is there anyone else that would like to speak? I'm not sure if we've lost Veronica. Okay, or something else has popped up in the Q&A. Any information regarding the registration? Oh, right, so in terms of the registration, so I will put back up, as I say, we run the courses throughout the year. So, 1 second. Run the courses throughout the year. So what you need to do in terms of specific interest in the courses is you'll need to contact Paraskevi so she can give you details of when we will next run them. So we plan on doing one in autumn. So that will likely start end of September, early October. But in terms of other ones that we have, you know, coming up or details about that, then she can give you further information. So we'll just put her details up there again. Oh, okay, so Veronica is muted. Is there a way, I don't know, I don't know if Veronica wanted to speak, but I'm not sure how I can't unmute you myself. If you're able to unmute yourself, if you did want to say anything, Veronica. Or if our ELT host can unmute you. Any other questions? I'm being very shy. Okay, maybe is our ELT host, can you hear me? Are you able to unmute Veronica Omini? I don't know if you should still be there. I'll ask him by chat. Yeah, so I'm just asking the our host to see if he can unmute you, Veronica. I'm not sure, he should be there somewhere in case you just want to add anything. No, lots of thanks. Okay. Oh, I think you're unmuted now, Veronica.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. So, if my camera is working as well, I'm just having some technical issues today. Nevertheless, I just wanted to say thank you very much, Elizabeth, for making this, presentation, giving this presentation, and giving all the information to everybody. And yes, one of the things that I think is the most enjoyable of the course is the fact that we get so many different nationalities together. And I've previously worked on, different types of language teaching courses, such as the CELTA, etc. And every different language course has its advantages and disadvantages. But one of the main advantages of the EUROLTA is the fact that you get so many cultures, and there isn't an Anglo-centric approach to the teaching, and you can really gain so many insights into the different cultures, languages, and approaches to teaching. And even if you're doing it in a monolingual group where a majority of the students are of one language, you still focus on different linguistic aspects and different approaches to teaching, which you normally wouldn't in many other courses. And I think so that gives the students an opportunity to enjoy their own culture without the dominance of another. And really that's what's helped to enrich the experience at Coventry University for us, both for the students but also for the people delivering the programme. I think you'll agree with me, there is that energy in the classroom, and the learners come away and not only from a professional perspective but also forge quite strong relationships and friendships. So it's a really positive outcome, and we do encourage people to come to Coventry, or at least online if they can't face to face in the current situation, and experience the programme because it is a positive experience.
Yeah, I've just seen actually, Monica, you'd be able to answer probably better than me about in terms of how long we've been running the EUROLTA course.
So as far as I know, it's been run for about 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I'd missed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is it now in terms of the questions. Thank you, Veronica.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to add? No? Okay, so I'll leave the details on the screen again about how you can contact PACE, who are working with us on this, and Paraskevi. So you've got the details there, and you can contact her if you need to know any information. So her details are there, and then also my details are here as the Lingua Mundi academic manager. So I think we will end there unless there are any further questions. We're just coming up to our time. Okay. Is that it? Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.